It's a lot of confusion. It's a lot of miscommunication. And especially it's when it comes to Nore and Axel, I think it is a projection of the past in the present or in the future. These two players didn't participate in the November window. They didn't. And as much as we tend to combine the two as one, each one had his own reason why he didn't participate in the November window. And because they didn't participate, the General Assembly of the Federation of Basketball of Rwanda passed a resolution. Based on that example, we didn't have that situation in the past. So it was the first time. The club didn't know what to do about a player who refused to participate. The federation didn't know what to do about it. So when it happened, and again, they had their own reason, whether it's valid or not, but they had a own separate reason why they didn't participate. The General Assembly resolved going forward, one, the procedure for the call-up. In the General Assembly of December 6, they resolved that from that time, the Federation will request players from the club and avoid direct communication with players. Two, the club will have to respond to the federation who is available and who is not available. Three, those are the resolution of the General Assembly. Three, if the club releases a player and the player doesn't report, he will be sanctioned for 1 year. The current situation, the federation did reach out to the club. They followed the first requirement. Unfortunately, the same time that they sent an email to the club, they sent the email to the players. The same day, same time, it went. That was the first breach of the General Assembly resolution and the beginning of issues. Before even the club respond to the email, the federation invited the players for discussion. But this time, they even forgot to invite us in that meeting. It's fine to invite it's not fine, but if you do it, bring the club in that discussion. We're trying to calling it a discussion. It was a hearing, actually. It should be the discussion is forth and back. Hearing is the federation called the players to hear what are their expectations. I will not go into the details. I was not invited in that meeting. But from what I know, the players did say that they had some minor injuries which could not prevent them to participate in the national team. But also, they requested for financial compensation. The next day, the same day, that was on 18th of June. On 19th of June, the vice president called me, the vice president of the federation called me, informing that they met with our two players. They are asking some financial compensation. They want the club to resolve this issue. And my point was, why are you even talking to them at first place? But it's okay. Let me consult with the club, but the player should report tomorrow to the national team. As the APR, we are all in to support the national team. So I did send an email to the federation informing them that players will report on Saturday to the national team practice, and after the practice they will go to the camp. The same day on Friday, and this is again where the competition is, the miscommunication and misunderstanding is coming from. The same day on Friday, our medical team issued their medical report giving Nore 3 days off. And this is fact. The report is there. The date of submission, you can check. We can show you. These are the reports that were out before the sanctions. Facts are there. The email, the WhatsApp, you can see the report came before the sanction. It's not that the team or players are, but players reported on Saturday and had a discussion with the head coach and with the team medical. The APR, the one thing that we are not understanding from this situation is the rush. The national team has one of the best physiotherapists in the country, Rutamu. If a player says, I'm injured, the minimum will be to take him through the medical check and come up with a different medical report or the same report. That will be, normally actually, if we had protocols in place, all the players called for the national team, the first thing that should be done should be to do a medical check to see what is the status, who are on limitation, who cannot, But if one comes with a report saying, I'm having this issue, the minimum will be to do that, to check. That will be the minimum. And this doctor or this physiotherapist is one of the best in the country, or the best in the country. APR will never argue about his funding. APR player who argue about that funding, he will be the one with a problem. So that didn't happen. So the practice was at 11 on Saturday. Players reported, talked to the head coach, talked to the medical doctor, talked to everyone. And at 4, we received a letter of suspension. Before even calling the team and say, we received your email that players will report on Saturday. Player didn't come, or, because the resolution created this link of communication between the club and the federation about the national. So before making the decision, there could be at least that communication to say, your player, they came but they refused to practice. If the aim, if the goal is to have your best players in the country representing the national team of the country, if that's the goal, the aim is not to sanction, the aim is to find a solution that bring all your resources together. As a sportsman, as a leader, whatever. That should be the aim. So we failed to understand the rush. When we received the email of suspension, we called the players to ask, did you receive the letter? What happened? We called the players, and the players were also surprised like us, and we discussed with the player to say, I think it is a miscommunication with your November, you refused to participate, let's call it a refusal. Your discussion of money with the federation without consultation of the club. So I think they are thinking that you are trying to avoid the call. The players immediately sent an email to the federation to say, we think there is a miscommunication here. It has never been our intent to refuse to participate to the national team. Even our participation, we came to the national team practice today is to show our good faith that we want to be part of this, but we are going under medical limitation of practice, which is, it was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Monday we should be okay to start practice. That email were ignored. They never responded to say, okay, we are receiving this, but this is too late. We made a decision, but again, I guess that's what it means if you don't respond. But it was, and what we did again as a club on Sunday, which was on 21st, we did send a letter, an appeal to the federation showing all the miscommunication and misunderstanding, and but how do you interpret if someone comes to your practice, he's there, but doesn't practice? How do we differentiate that one with someone who didn't show up at all? How do you differentiate someone who has a medical report, a written, established medical report, with someone who doesn't show anything and say, I'm sick? This player, they show up, they have a written medical report. You don't consider that, and you qualify that they refused without even verifying what they're saying. So for us, that's where we fail to understand this issue. Because for me, it will be, if guilty, it will be, I missed a practice because I was there, but I missed the practice. I didn't do the practice. If I'm guilty, it is I missed the practice. If I'm guilty, it's because I negotiated with the federation without the approval of the club. That's what these players are guilty for. And for the negotiation with the club, we did sanction them internally. Yes. Whatever the money they requested from the federation, we cut that money from their salaries for the next 3 or 4 months. It is a financial discussion. They were looking for something. Again, national call is a national call. It's a pride. It's not a place where to go and negotiate money. For us, that's how whatever the country give you, that's what you get. If the country, Rwanda will never make you play for free. But there is something that the country will give you, take it. That's how we see things. So because they wanted and making that negotiation, it is a financial discussion. So we penalize them financially, not on the court, by breaching the procedures. But the question here is, the federation also did breach the protocols or the procedure by contacting the players directly. There is a question that no one is asking: who sanctioned them? Because we did sanction our player for communicating direct. We are doing it. But them creating all this problem, who sanctioned them? The issue is not sanctioning. It's not, I'm not here who sanctioned the players or sanctioning the federation. It's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say, we are here all, APR, the players, the federation, we are all working for the basketball, the game that we love. And again, this is what I'm asking you. They did come, the players came to the practice. They were present to the practice. If they are guilty, is not, they refused to the call-up, it is they missed a practice. That's what happened. And now we can go to the reason why they missed the practice. Is the reason valid or not? But they were present. The other thing is, and that's what I was saying, is internally as a club, we tried to solve this issue amicably. And we sent the first email on 21st. Like the letters from the players, even our email, the federation didn't respond. We submitted a second letter on 23rd. This time, we decided to show humility, accept what is wrong, request for forgiveness where we did wrong, and in this case, we can debate about it, but we requested forgiveness for players going, negotiating, asking for compensation directly to the federation. We can debate if it is wrong or right, but from the resolution, players shouldn't communicate directly with the federation. By doing so, they did wrong. We sent a letter to the federation saying, we are sorry for our players by doing that. We are sorry as a club for having a medical report of players and not sending you or to the federation and not sharing with you as a federation. We are sorry for that. But again, there is no protocols in place to say that we did wrong or right. But we had those reports. We could send them on Friday. We didn't, and we said we are sorry for that. But we are saying again, we informed the federation for the mistake of the players, we have sanctioned them internally. But for the interests of the nation, for the interests of the country, for the interests of the basketball that we love, allow these players to join others and play. And let be noticed that from Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, these players were reporting to the practice until on Tuesday, where the security at the BK Arena stopped them to enter the arena. That way we say, okay, stop going. But from Saturday to Tuesday, these players, on the time of the practice, these players were going and watching the practice, hoping that the federation will integrate them. On 25th, we did send another follow-up letter to the federation to say, the team is traveling tomorrow, I think. They left on 26. What happened with our emails or letters? Did you accept the apology? Did you refuse the apology? Did you accept the apology, but you are not taking, we're claiming for a response. And I have to acknowledge that last night we received an email from the federation calling for a meeting on July 8th to discuss the sanction of the players. But that will be after the World Cup qualifiers. So with all this misunderstanding and miscommunication, they lost the opportunity to represent the country. Let's hope that in that meeting, the federation will revisit their position and forgive them. When you are a leader in sports, you don't take things personal. You don't take things personal. This, and it's not, yes, I can talk about sport or artists or athletes. We deal with caprice in French. I don't know in English what it is, but we deal with caprice. We deal with many things from players or from athletes that your driven goal is to remember all the time what is your bigger goal, your bigger mission. You can't forget it. For this case, as a federation who is putting in place athletes who are going to represent the country, that is, even when as the club we are showing humility and asking forgiveness, was to say this is bigger than a club or players or federation. It is the country. It is the nation. Let's put all our sons of the country together to represent the country. Does it, if you look at our first email and our second, it is totally different. The first email is a fight to you. This is wrong, the decision you're making, this is the point. We are argument to make showing why the suspension shouldn't be there. Our second letter is showing humility to say this is bigger than a club or a player. This is the country. If it means that we need to say sorry and have the players integrated to represent the country, let's do it. So that's what I would say for this. In French, they say, there is a say, le linge sale se lave en famille, meaning that if you have internal conflict, you try to solve it internally. You don't make it public. And it's not because the federation made it public that the club should do it public. APR is part of the federation. This is my family. We were trying, all this time, we're trying to solve it internally. We have proof of actions that we did. We moved from the anger and feeling like we are victim to asking for forgiveness, showing humility, but putting the flag as the most important part for the players to join the team. So until the team left and go to Angola, now we say we tried internally, it didn't work. Now it's time for us also to give our side of the story. No matter what happened before, the club said to the federation, players will report on Saturday. They were available and will report on Saturday. The players reported on Saturday, but they didn't practice. But they reported, but they didn't practice. Before looking, because the time of release is on Saturday. That's when the players were released. Whatever happened before, it shouldn't even happen. So, the first practice that they missed and making a decision without consulting the club, without giving consideration to the email from the players saying we are available and willing to play for I think it was quick. I mean, it is unfortunate that they cannot play for the national team. It is unfortunate. But they can still play for APR in the league. They can still play for Tigers in the Intercontinental. They can still play next year. And again, if APR release them and they are telling us we don't want, it is a different story. But in this case, APR is releasing the player. The player are saying we are willing to play. Even the resolution of the General Assembly doesn't determine at which moment do you decide as a federation that a player refused to play. That's a power that the federation has to determine. Because is it by missing the first practice? Is it by missing the first friendly game? Is it by missing the first game of the competition? At which moment do you determine and say you refused? Or is it by a player saying openly, I'm not participating? All this, if you go and analyze them legally, you will find all the gray area in this case. My side is, as they won, it didn't change. My side is allowing these players to play this season. Start by the country. These two gentlemen should be in Angola representing the country. Them not being there, I'm not saying that we will have, them being there, we will, or not being there, we'll have a different result. But them being there, it is a huge contribution to the result. Start by that. And actually, that is the biggest. The club is small versus the country. In Angola, and that's why we did everything. That's why I'm even here to say it is unfortunate that they are not there. APR will survive no matter what happened. By the way, whether I'm not even here saying that without the two players we are losing the playoffs. No. We are still fighting to win the playoffs without the two players. If we have them, it is a big contribution to reach the goal. If we are not there, I will not come in front of you in the camera to say that we lost because we didn't have Noren. No, we will still fight to win. But we should be, Federation being our parent, should treat all the clubs fairly. By missing our two players, we are putting us in a weak position that we feel it shouldn't be like that. That's what it is. But let's meet at the end of the league. I will give you all the stories about winning or losing, but it will not be because I don't have Noren Poyo.